Happened in the 90s.
Yeah, the new releases section, otherwise known as the Bermuda Triangle. Every time I want to take home a movie, I always get sucked into this void, and I end up taking home something like Frosty and the Silent Sparrow. I mean, hey, you know, I'm a big fan of bird movies, but come on, they should throw me a bone every now and then.
Actually, Mr. Lewis, we've increased our new releases inventory by 40%. These are all current titles.
Liar.
It's true. 40% more copies of new releases at $2.99. Go home happy.
Well, hey, old people, this is Steve G and Matt G with Happened in the 90s, a show where we talk about things that happened in the 90s. So get out your podcast players and listen to Happen in the 90s for once, you goddamn assholes.
I'm pissed now.
We're going to be talking about things March 3rd in the 90s.
I mean, again, dude, it's a sexy episode, Steve. We got some sex. We got Frasier not getting some sex, and Niles maybe getting a lot of poon. And you know, we're also meeting somebody familiar to the 90s people, Daria, which I got to be honest, Steve, I thought this show started way before it did, and you know, we'll get into it, but I had a few misconceptions I realized when I watched this episode. And I'm wondering if we shared them, but yeah, I don't know.
I don't have too many memories of Daria. I didn't really watch it. It was all right, but I think we were like 14 when it came out, and I get it. At the same time, it's like it represented like a certain chick from that time period. I feel like I knew some Darias in Perrysburg.
Yeah,
I did know some Darias. I know some Darias now.
I mean, sometimes I feel like Daria now. They're just like dead to the world, basically. But
I get it. I wish I would have watched it.
I just remember, you know, it was always associated with Beavis and Butthead, and I think I thought that this show started earlier because of Beavis and Butthead. You know, like that show was on, she was in it. But one thing I did realize about Daria that I guess I just never really put too much thought into. I think I thought that the voice was Janine Garofalo pretty much the whole time.
They sound the same. Yeah.
Yeah. So wasn't a huge fan, but I don't know. In watching it now, I mean, it's not a bad show. You know, I've seen worse on this. Watching shows for this show, I've seen worse. So
it gets a passing grade. But in 1981, in Los Angeles, California, African-American Rodney King is beaten severely by police officers after leading them on a high-speed chase and allegedly resisting arrest. A video is made by an observer, and portions of the tape are broadcast repeatedly, resulting in a massive rioting in the Los Angeles area. And this was when we were probably, 7, 8? And I mean, it was a big enough deal to where, like, I knew what was going on. It was shown, like, all day, like the OJ case. And I mean, I was pissed even as a little black boy. I just knew it wasn't right. And the fact that the officers got off, they were acquitted.
I mean, it's kind of crazy. And also it's kind of sad that that same kind of shit that happened, I mean, whatever year that was, still going on now, and it never really changed too much. You know, cops get off for fucking black people up, or really anybody up, but mostly black people. But this did that, all that shit resulted in a giant fucking riot, and probably rightfully so, because people were pissed off about it. And I think, honestly, if you think about it, it's probably one of the first viral videos, you know, in terms of like a worldwide.
One of them.
You know, yeah. There was no internet. It was a fucking camcorder tape. Just cops whooping the dog shit out of the guy. And this shit was on all the time. Like, no matter who you were, you saw it. You know, I remember just being scared by seeing that shit. And I think that's sort of the first thing that sort of made me distrust cops. You know, before I got to weed and was afraid of cops for other reasons. Like,
it's ridiculous.
It was wild, you know, it's fucking crazy. And I mean, I remember the one thing that kind of pissed me off, and more so now when you realize it, but like how many people were like, Oh, the guy was fucking on drug. The guy was a fucking criminal, like trying to make excuses for the cops and shit. And it's like, Jesus Christ.
It doesn't justify you beating him to death with a fucking billy club. It doesn't justify it, regardless if he was on drugs or not. And I mean, the fact that the fuckers got off, yeah, I think that black people universally felt, look, there should be a fucking riot.
Oh yeah.
They're breaking in their businesses. Most black people, just about all of us, even the kids, felt like fuck those businesses.
When I think, like it's more evident, you hear about it more. Like I'm a white person, like I don't have the same um upbringing that somebody any black person does, but I know like for you or like like any black child, the education about cops is a lot different, and like the tone of the discussion is a lot different, and this just made that even more intense for anybody that wasn't white. And I don't know, man. It's just fucking kind of sad. You just see this shit going on still, and obviously, like with George Floyd and stuff, it gets worse. Like he survived. Rodney King survived. I can't believe. I don't know how he did, because he was being fucking the shit kicked out of him. But yeah, I don't know, man.
He is dead now, though. I mean, he was a drug addict. That is true. He was on the pipe and probably other party things, but party.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. It's fucking sad, and it was like a huge thing. It had a lot of pop culture, like things that you like quotables. Like I think Jesse Jackson said, "Can we all just get along?" Like,
no, that was Rodney.
That was
Rodney King.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, it was super famous. I mean, this was like, again, like the not viral video, but like a viral moment before the internet. This sort of inflamed society, even maybe just in the US, but I think all over the world people knew about this shit. So
can't we all just get along?
It's too bad.
And then in 1992, charges are filed in Florida against New York Mets Daryl Boston, Vince Coleman, and Dwight Gooden of rape. The charges would be dropped in April of 92. But I mean, once again, Doc Gooden just,
these motherfuckers. I mean, there's these names in baseball, like back in the day, that were just it's just like constantly being put out there. I don't remember this at all. I don't, but this is another thing that you keep seeing, like not even just like this. I mean, you see a lot of athletes do this, but like even just like the mental illness in athletes and people paying so much attention to these guys, like dudes like AB and shit, that you're just watching them like melt down in front of you. And they're just, getting paid millions of dollars and sort of self-destructing. It's fucking nuts. Who's the guy with the grilling behind you right now? Because man, he looks like he's scary looking.
That's Dwight Gooden. He was a phenom pitcher for the Mets. They won the World Series his rookie year. They were him and Darryl Strawberry were rookies when they won, man. But they got busted before internet and before smartphones, so they had to be doing the most.
Yeah, that is fucking true. Hell yeah. I mean, damn, dude. There's those stories about like these guys doing mad drugs and playing like in games and stuff, and you just it's fucking nuts, dude. I mean, I've done some normal things and eat like on drugs, like on weed and shit, but
yeah,
I don't know. These guys were fucking wilding the fuck out in the 90s.
Oh, 80s and 90s for these guys. But on that same day, President George H.W. Bush apologizes for raising taxes after pledging not to. And no one cared because everyone voted for Clinton.
I mean, oh my God, a politician who says he's going to do something and then doesn't. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise. Who's especially a Bush. These motherfuckers just stayed doing the dirt, and they're probably still doing some dirt.
Oh, they're always doing the dirt.
Is George Bush alive? Is senior? He's still alive, right?
No, he died. Dead? He died 2018.
Oh, well, good riddance.
Pretty much. I think I sang a song. When the fucker, yeah. In 1994, in Rome, Nirvana's Kurt Cobain lapses into a coma after overdosing on Rohypnol and champagne. It's that crazy bitch Courtney.
What the
Nah,
fuck
he
is
had
Rofinol?
That's like the shit they were popping in Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh shit. Some straight up blue or white collar fucking super drug shit.
Actually, that's the date rape shit,
Is
I
it, I was gonna
believe.
say it sounds like isn't that called I
Rofinol,
think
yeah.
Rufinol, yeah. Jesus. Who the fuck is taking the date rate? Like, I'll take that. How fucked up do you want to get?
A
Damn.
depressed rock star, that's who takes that
Yeah.
shit. Um, I
Heard.
don't get it. I mean, like, I know that money, I get what they mean by money doesn't buy happiness, but fuck, bro. Like, when you have that much, like, get that shit checked. Like, you really had a death wish, like that strong to where like you didn't want to take any other route before you went here. Um,
Yeah, you just want to be numb as possible, even if it
like,
means you're dead. You know.
and he didn't care about any of that icon shit or I'm the leader of the new era. Like, he didn't give a fuck. He just wanted to, like, I don't know, play music and like kill himself, I guess.
It's just wild, also, like how the contrast of individuals in Nirvana. Because if you look at this, like Kurt Cobain, guy, a mess, a genius musically, but just so fucked up in the head, you know, killed himself. And then there's Dave Grohl, who seems to be one of the coolest, funniest, just awesome dudes who enjoys life. And it was just like, how the fuck did these two guys come together? Because if I was
Oh,
around anybody who's just like, was Kurt Cobain just like, oh fuck, man, like always depressed? I'd be like, fuck, man, Kurt's a fucking downer, dude.
yeah. And it only lasted about 3 years, I want to say.
Man,
With,
dude,
with
it's
Grohl,
crazy.
I mean, they had a drummer before Grohl, but I mean, when
Shout
Nevermind came out, yeah,
Shout out to Dave Grohl though, because the guy was in Nirvana, was in Foo Fighters, was the drummer for Tenacious D. Uh, I just saw him on that show Hot Ones on YouTube where they eat chicken wings. And
yeah.
they just made a fucking move. The Foo Fighters recorded an album and made a fucking horror movie uh this year. So I mean, this guy is just, I feel
Wow.
like I'm not necessarily the hugest fan of Foo Fighters, but I love me some Dave Grohl. So shout out to Dave Grohl. Keep killing it.
Yeah, they got some dope shit. But in '95, Man of the House premiered in theaters, starring Chevy Chase and JTT. And I never watched it. Don't want to. JTT, you're all right. Chevy Chase can fucking blow me.
What the fuck is going on with Chevy Chase, dude? Like, what is going on with the guy?
You're saying that like it's a current thing. Like Chevy Chase has always been a dick.
Has he? Is that
Always.
okay?
Like he had issues with Bill Murray back in the day. He had issues with cast members of SNL whenever he returned to host. It's like, why do y'all keep bringing him back? Like, then the whole thing with Community, the cat,
Yeah.
like that cast felt a certain way about him. So
I mean, the guy's fucking blackballed himself basically in the business because he's a cunt. And you know, I liked me some Fletch back in the day. I like Caddyshack back in the day, but yeah, I guess fuck you, Chevy. And I think I saw this movie, but I have no memory of it because it was probably a big piling or heap of shit. So you know,
yeah, Chevy's in it. So I mean, he is a heap of shit, if that means anything.
I don't wanna grow up, I'm a Toys R Us kid. They got a million toys at Toys R Us that I can play with. I don't wanna grow up,
I'm a Toys R Us kid.
they got the best for so much less.
You'll really flip your lid.
Some bikes, two trains, two video games. It's the biggest toy store there is. Gee whiz! I don't wanna grow up, 'cause baby, if I did, I couldn't be a Toys R Us kid.
Once a Toys R Us kid?
Always a Toys R Us kid.
But in '97, Daria premieres on MTV. And the episode is Esteemers. Daria moves to a new town in high school. While her sister passes the psychological test, Daria has to take a special low self-esteem class a few weeks. She makes a friend there. Good for her.
la 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 la.
The fact that they have a self-esteem class, like,
I mean, when I gotta say, the thing that it set off as a memory for me is when I moved to Perrysburg in 5th grade. I went to Woodland Elementary, and as a new kid, they made you like do a new kid thing where you just were in a group of all the new kids, and I don't even remember what we did. It was just like hang out, like, hey, we're new, and then they just sent you off to class and shit. But
Sounds like torture.
dude, but shout out to Austin Fry. I don't know if you remember that dude. We started school together, and
he's a Michigan fan.
Yeah, fuck that. But other than that bad taste, he was a pretty cool dude. But we were new kids together, and I remember being in that. And actually, Cody Garman, if you remember that dude as well, I think you said he's passed away.
He killed himself. Yeah.
Oh, that's fucking rest in peace to that dude. But I started school with him too, and he was actually the first guy I was friends with in Perrysburg, really, because we were new, and I felt comfortable talking to him because of that. But yeah, this new shit, like moving to a new place, crazy. Daria, though, it seems like she likes to be by herself, Steve. She's like one of those people, she likes to listen to some Cure, maybe cut herself a little. I don't know, but
any Linux and shit.
But she moved to Lawndale, and I gotta say, Steve, I lived in Lawndale, California. It wasn't quite this gothic or whatever, but she's in a new place. She moved away from Beavis and Butthead, and her dad, they're in the car, and her dad's a little worried that she's gonna have trouble adjusting to this new place, and I wonder why. She's the Kurt Cobain of young teenage girls, basically. She's just in her head. She's not really into anything. She just likes shitting on things, and in that regard, I kind of understand. I do like that myself, but I don't know. If I was a Lawndale school kid, I probably would just sort of avoid this because she sounds like a drag.
Sounds
she'd
like
probably
Perrysburg.
shit all over myself, or I'm not all over myself. She'd probably shit on me quite a bit.
Yeah,
I'm too happy.
Yeah, I'm here to keep it balanced. Daria and Quinn, who I guess we're just being introduced to, we didn't even know that she had siblings when she was on Beavis and Bud, but they're getting dropped off at the new school, and the kids think that Quinn is cool instantly because she has nice animated tits, and Daria just walks through the crowd, and that's kind of her thing. Fuck the crowd.
Yeah, and now they come in, and like you said, they have to take like this weird like new kid psychological test. Yeah, which I don't know. It's just this sounds crazy to me because kids are all fucked up. But Quinn basically, she's dumb. She's a ditz. She's a hot ditzy chick, and she just ditzes her way through it. They show her like some weird silhouette ink blot thing. It looks like a couple, I think. And she talks about like, oh, it's some guy. It's fucking Peter, and he's fucking all like, ew, and she's all like, bleh. And the teacher is like, yeah, that sounds about right. And then she shows that same picture to Daria, and Daria is like, it's a fucking sheep hanging out in a field. I forget what she says, but she's just sort of,
some Hannibal Lecter shit.
Fuck it off. And the teacher's like, no, what do you see? And she tries to like lie her way through it. And basically, we don't really see what ends in this, but it just seems like the teacher is sort of not into Daria, and a lot of people probably not into Daria. So,
and Daria's not into people, so it works out.
Yeah, and she gets into she does. She gets into a new class, and I do like this character, Mr. DiMartino, her new teacher, who seems to be in the midst of either wanting to take a shit or roid rage. I don't know. He's really he's about to fucking explode, basically.
Mr. 5-Day Bender.
And he's discussing Manifest Destiny. And basically, all the other kids in the class are a bunch of idiots. And Daria, even as a new kid, is raising her hand and answering all the questions. And even Mr. DiMartino is like, stop fucking showing off, you bitch.
DiMartino? You actually remember his name?
I had to rewind and clock it, but I wrote it down. So yes, I do remember his name. And he's always like, ugh. It sounds like he's in the midst of a shit, basically.
A really good one that he could have. but he's got classes to teach. And he's asking the class, can you sum up some manifest destiny? What was it about? And manifest destiny, Daria said, was a popular slogan in the 1840s, blah, 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 white supremacy. And he says, like, oh, yeah, that's correct. And then he goes to, I think, Kevin, the meathead, and he's just like, blah, blah, blah. It was Vietnam. It's like, dude, if you studied, never mind.
Well, and then his girlfriend basically repeats it, and she's like, "It's the war in Viet Cong." And Mr. DiMartino, he tries to suppress the urge to just rip her head off, basically, or take a shit. I don't know.
Yeah, Brittany is stupid, but she also has nice, perky, animated tits. And Daria's mom would go to their home, and she tells them tells Daria not to judge people until you get to know them. Give people benefit of the doubt. And to that, I say, fuck giving people the benefit of the doubt.
It will fuck you at the end.
Yeah. But the school calls and tells their mom that Daria has low self-esteem, so she has to go take some classes for low self-esteem. What kind of participation award Mamie bullshit is this?
Yeah, and it's basically just all the goth kids, just anybody who's just sort of fucking up in school. I probably would have been thrown in this as well, just because I just did not like authority. Serious? Not low, this seems to be, it's not for low self-esteem. It's for problem kids, and they're just calling it low self-esteem. But regardless, she gets in the class, and the class is taught by this guy, Mr. O'Neill, who's sort of just a Stuart Smalley type, who he's just like, everything's nice, and he has like a really soft voice, and he's just trying to teach these kids to love themselves. And Daria's not having it. And then she finally meets what will actually be somebody she actually does like in Jane, who is her best friend throughout this show. And Jane's just sort of apparently been in this class, I don't know, maybe since she got to high school. And she just, apparently also has low self-esteem, or just hates people just as much as Daria, basically.
No, she can actually pass the class, but she just wants to feel special by continuing to go to this shit. She's been through it about 7 million times. She knows all the answers, but I don't know. It's just something to do. That's her thing.
Yeah, and you're right. She actually did say that she said having low self-esteem makes her feel special. So, and she's been in this class. She knows all the answers. She can answer the questions even before they're asked. But fuck it, maybe you get out of some bullshit class that you don't want to go to. You go here and just fuck off with Mr. O'Neill. So they get out. Daria and them, she's walking together. She sort of goes through that, and then Daria gets home. And her mom's there, and she's like, her mom and dad they're worried about her daughter, but not because she has low self-esteem, really. They're kind of worried that they're the reason she has low self-esteem, and not really worried about her daughter. So her mom takes her, and she's like, time for a mother-daughter day. What better way to, get some better self-esteem than come out with me and watch me try on new pantsuits?
Yeah.
Which, who knows? This could only lead to more low self-esteem. But Daria goes, and she watches her mom try on some clothes, and just, talks like this all the time. And she just, to me, I'd just be like, you know what? This kid's just a fucking drag. I fucked
it's
up.
About 6 hours at Lane Bryant. So we cut to class the next day, and the teacher asked Daria, think of something and daydream about what makes you happy. And she says that she daydreams about one day her family doing something together, something that'll really make them suffer. And once again, being the sardonic teenager. And
I like that word.
Her sarcasm is top notch. She's probably up there with Jeffrey and who else?
She's a little salty, Steve. I don't know what happened to this girl. Maybe hanging around with Beavis and Butthead for years probably just caused her to hate human beings a little bit, but she doesn't like the world. And I think we all knew some teenagers. We knew some Perrysburg kids like this.
Oh yeah.
But then she goes, they do, like, the one thing I found funny is that I think at the end of that scene, like, doesn't Mr. O'Neill find some weird doodle that she did, like, that's like an ice cream man being eaten by some kind of like some shit like
Yeah.
so that, you know, then that was just like something to clock. Now you'd probably be like, it would be a whole fucking thing. You'd be like locked away in a building and people would be monitoring you, worried about you and shit. See, back in the 90s, people didn't give a fuck. Like maybe you went to a low self-esteem class, but you could be walking around Johnny fucking drag along just like Daria, and people really didn't do shit. They didn't give a fuck. You know?
No.
Oh shit.
No child left behind.
Yeah, and so Jane and Daria, they retire to, I think, Jane's house or maybe Daria's house, and they're watching this show, Sick Sad World. And the episode that it's kind of like I don't know, like a tabloid journalism slash fucked up people show. And this episode they're watching is about a blind, deaf, and crippled guy who had affairs with 3 members of the royal family, which, I mean, hey, salute. This guy must have had a fucking hog on him or something. I don't know.
Not my first choice, but you know.
But Jane's like, they're fucking the royal family, you know, those yuck mouth motherfuckers over there. It's, you know, that's all they could get is some fucking like human torso with a dick to fuck.
Oh man. The smells of the room. It's I'm sure it smelled like hummus and pumice. Yeah. Yeah.
Just like fucking Mr. Ed, basically.
Jeez. The Queen of England is bad enough with clothes on.
I mean, everyone that's hot that's associated with that family is from outside of the family. Like all the real royal blood are just inbred, like just fucking.
Yeah. It's all downhill already. Let's not go any further, even if it is a joke. But Daria and Jane, they're ready to graduate, take this test and be on with it. And they ace it, as you should, for a fucking self-esteem test, unless you're on the short bus, maybe. And they're having even then, they're having a school assembly for the self-esteem graduation, and it's just as pathetic as it sounds. Jane Lane is her name, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's just, you know, she's just not into it, but I get it. Like all these kids, we went to Perrysburg. Perrysburg seems like Lawndale High. And I think like for the most part, even like we weren't this depressed, but I think we were the kids who were shitting on the kids for just being into like pep rallies and shit like that. Or at least that's what I was, you know.
I didn't care about none of those pep rallies.
Yeah. I mean, it was some bullshit. It was just something you had to do. And at least you got out of class, but you know, Jane and Daria actually are forced to be like, they do a fucking, like, what is going on in the school that this is a cause for an assembly? Like, give them a fucking certificate, let them be on their way, but that's not the Lawndale's highway. So Mr. O'Neill summons the courage to do this. He gets cucked by the assembly, like he gets cucked by all the kids, and he introduces Jane to like make a speech, and Jane takes a giant fucking Cleveland self-esteemer on stage because she's very like, I guess she's not into speaking in public, which I get, but she sort of is like, hey, I gotta go, and she just rushes off, leaving Daria to talk about self-esteem and how much it is awesome. And you know, she sort of like saves the day, I guess, but we don't really see her speech too much. But while Daria is speaking, Quinn's in the audience. And she's on like guy 10 and 11 at this point, who are just like giving her all the attention, and they're making fun of Daria, and they're, you know, shitting on her and all this. But Daria uses this moment to thank the person that, you know, is most important to her at school, her sister, Quinn, which is embarrassing to Quinn because she doesn't want to be associated with such a fucking
just puts her on the spot.
Yeah. So she's having kittens over this, and they go home. Daria sort of like is just Daria, but Quinn's pissed the fuck off, and she's like, she fucking said I was her sister, this fucking bitch. You know, it's like, it's that kind of energy.
Yeah. But the family, however, is happy to see that Daria graduated self-esteem class, and they're just geeked more so than Daria. per use. And I think that's just how we end it. And this is the intro to Daria on MTV, March 3rd. Yeah.
This was like, I don't know how the show lasted so long. I think this was made for girls, Steve. So, I mean, let's be honest.
Well, yeah, that's why we didn't watch it. Yeah.
So while this was on, like, I would wait till this was over. I'd watch Eon Flux. I'd watch something with a little more substance. But one thing, this is how the show ends. Okay. First episode, not a total disaster, but to me, it's not my cup of tea. But one thing that's really not my cup of tea that is sort of ruined this episode while I was watching it, and I hate to beat a fucking dead, shitty ass horse, but Paramount Plus, if you don't fucking improve the fucking platform, I'm gonna break something, and I hope you break the whatever the servers are and fix them and make them work, because I had to start this fucking episode over 5 to 6 times because it would get to the first commercial break, it would get stuck, and then it would go back to the beginning of the episode, and then it would get stuck, and then it would go back to some other random point in the episode, and I have to just kept starting it over. And I just got to say, it's nice that you have all these like shows that we want to watch, and that's great. You have some good content, but if I can't watch it in an enjoyable way or even a functional way, then the shit ain't worth it. So get your shit together.
Yeah.
Paramount Plus.
You said 7 or 8 times. I kind of give up after like 3.
I mean, Kendra has the DVDs, so I eventually did give up and I put the fucking DVDs in.
Wow.
I don't get it. Whenever you have this thing where you're releasing it and you're charging people money for it, in my mind, don't rip us off. I'm paying you the money. Just let me watch the fucking show. It's not even like my TV. It's not what I'm using. It's just a fucking shitty fucking platform. So again, suck it up, Paramount. Put a couple more extra dollars into it. Maybe spend $10 instead of the $1 you paid to fucking design this shit. And, flip a switch and improve it. So do better.
You lose! Good day, sir!
Love, hate, romance, dynamite size, hot stuff. Pick up Soap Opera News. It's brand new and it's weekly. Freeze a crowd on days, so who gets both? Billy or Hope? Robert Kelker Kelly, who plays Shane, quits another world. Soap Opera News has the real story. Plus, get Alice Horton's famous donut recipe and all the storylines for every show. Affairs, secrets, murder. Dynamite size.
Hot stuff.
Just $1.99 at your supermarket. Soap Opera News.
1998, Frasier, once again, because Matt loves it so much, is airing the episode Room Service, an unexpected visit from Lilith stirs old passions in Frasier and new ones in Niles. And I got to ask you, Matt, does Frasier ever get laid? Like,
he does actually,
but
I would say like the percentage, at least in the show, has got to be near like 5 to, it's like a low, like maybe single digit percentage of him getting some puss.
Dude, he got laid more on Cheers than he did on his own show. And that Frasier was on for like damn near 20 years.
I am wounded.
I mean, god damn. But yeah, so this is actually, we talked about Frasier last week, the ski lodge episode. This is just the next episode in the season. We're coming right off an episode where Frasier got no pussy, even though he took everybody to a ski chalet. So in this episode, again, we'll get to it, but again, pussyless Frasier. And, for a guy who's got so much money, so much class and savoir-faire, I got to agree, the guy is just not lucky with the women. And that's sort of one of the most important parts of the show, I guess. But we start and he's at his radio show at KCL. And he's talking to somebody named Betsy about her problems. And while he's having this conversation, Roz, his producer, is just she's got a piss, Steve. And I've been there. And this Betsy woman just won't talk about gushing waters and waterfalls and streams. And,
it definitely doesn't help.
Yeah. And to me, this wouldn't do it. It's when I get to my front doors, when the piss has to come out. Every time I get to the front door and I'm turning the knob, it's a 5-second differential whether I get to the toilet to piss or I piss myself. And I always have to cut it close. But this, we've all been there. Roz jets out. She has to piss. And as she's going to the bathroom, she runs into a familiar face for Frasier, at least, and it's his ex-wife Lilith, who is just
A conniving bitch.
the saltiest, saltinest, whitest bitch you've ever seen.
Yeah. Is this what Daria turns into?
You might be right, Steve. We might have figured it out. But he, they are divorced. Frasier lives in Seattle. Lilith lives in Boston, I think, where Cheers was in. And but her showing up, like he's still talking on his radio show, and he looks up and sees her. He's like, "Oh my God." So it's not, this isn't a rosy situation, but he sucks it up. He talks to her, and Lilith is in town for some kind of fucking
self-psychology seminar, she said.
There you go.
Yeah.
But as he's talking to her, they're having like a conversation, and he mentions her husband, and it sends Lilith into she shatters and starts crying. He doesn't know why, and even Roz is like, "What the fuck did you just do?"
Apparently Brian left Lilith's trifling ass for another dude.
Yeah, he was looking for somebody a little more feminine, and he found somebody in a dude, which shows you a little about what Lilith is like, the ice cold bitch queen. And apparently the guy's name was Stan Jablonski. It was her contractor who was working on her new closet, and she says, "How ironic that I get the closet of my dreams and my husband walks out of it, comes out of it."
But don't.
Yeah. So Frasier says, "You know what? You're here. I have this classy affair I'm going to with Niles tonight. Why don't you come? Let me just cheer you up a little bit," which, salute to Frasier. He's trying to be the bigger man. Then we cut. And there was one. Oh, okay. Yeah. So we cut to Cafe Nervosa, and Frasier is talking to Niles about Lilith. And Niles, first of all, so he's like, oh, he hears that she left, or she got left for a man, and he says that he has to pay his dad $5 because I guess they had a bet about this. So that's kind of funny.
Wow.
But Niles decides this weird fucking thing that's going on because he's in the midst of a divorce, and apparently he has some kind of strange reaction where it's actually causing temporary narcolepsy, where he'll just fall asleep whenever he's stressed the fuck out, which honestly, I kind of wish I would have this. It sounds nice.
I could use it.
And Frasier, is trying to sort of bare his soul to Niles, and he says that the thing that is sort of concerning to him is that he doesn't like this pattern. Every time Lilith comes around and she like uses him to cry on his shoulder, he finds her vulnerability hot as fuck, and he wants to bang, and they eventually do bang, which is always a mistake. So he's worried that that's going to happen again. And after Niles wakes up from another bout of narcolepsy, they sort of figure out, he's like, "Okay, I'm going to be there. I'll help you out. Let's do this." And they sort of make this agreement. So we cut to Frasier's house, and Frasier's just hanging out, and Martin's there, Daphne's there. I think he's trying to teach Eddie like a trick or something. But right before Lilith gets there, Niles gets there, and Frasier tells his dad and Daphne that Lilith is going to be there for the first time. And they're like, you didn't tell us. Like, you didn't give us, we could have been out of here. We could be gone right now because this bitch is so fucking just shitty that nobody wants to be around her. So
yeah, they want nothing to do with her.
Yeah. And go ahead.
Lilith is supposed to be going to some event with Niles and Frasier. So some kind of like business convention or something.
It's I think it's not a business convention. It's like just like a high society event in Seattle that Niles and Frasier are plugged into. So it's like a black tie affair, and Lilith shows up and is, I guess, looking hot as fuck because she walks in. She's in like this really revealing dress for her, I guess. And Frasier's like, "Oh, baby," as soon as he can't even hide it. He
doesn't get any. So I mean, yeah.
And I guess Eddie senses evil. He barks whenever she's about to be there, And as soon as Lilith does come in, Daphne and Martin fucking like run for the hills. They hide.
As you should.
I mean, Steve, was she hot?
I will say this. She knows how to use what she was given. She has no titties, no ass. Like you said, she's very pale. She's actually built like a 12-year-old boy. But she's wearing that dress, and the people oohed and awed in the audience. So I guess that gets a passing grade for NBC.
Yeah, and Niles and Lilith have sort of this, Martin Pam relationship where they just shit on each other. But in this, they're like being passive aggressive and shitting on each other and just sort of, nudging each other a little bit. But yeah. Frasier the whole time is just like, God damn, like he's just sitting there just oogling. Like, why even go to the event? Just fuck. Get it out. It's not gonna hurt. You've already done it and had a kid. Just wrap it up, get the evil out of you and just be on your way. But
and then get some clearance of mind afterwards. That post nut clearance, it makes you think things like, oh yeah, get the fuck out of my bed.
I mean, I've been there where you hook up with an ex, and before it happens, you're like, this is magic. This is good. Yeah. This is the best. And then afterwards, you're like in the bathroom, like, but Frasier, he's just oogling, and he's like, I got to snap out of this. So he takes Niles into the kitchen. Niles, he's still having this issue. I think he gets a call from his lawyers or something, and he falls asleep like in the fridge. Frasier's like, I can't resist. Like I'm gonna nut right now. I need to fuck this woman. You gotta help me. And Niles is like, look, just here, let's do a mental exercise. Whenever you have a sexual thought about Lilith, think of something disgusting. Think of something that is even more disgusting than Lilith. So remember that horse we found that was dead that had all the maggots in it? Whenever you're thinking of that puss, think of those maggots. It'll snap you out of it. And Frasier's like, you know what? Okay, I'll do this. Works. So let's get going. I have maggots. And they head off to whatever the fuck event they're going to.
Then we fast forward, and she doesn't have maggots in her vagina, but maybe she has a Niles crane in her vagina, and they both lose their shit when they wake up at the hotel and trying to figure out how the fuck does that happen.
Yeah, how many sherries did you fucking drink that night?
It's like they're codependently comforting each other.
And Niles is like, oh, these things happen every day in Arkansas. Like I get like feeling like you betrayed your brother, but this isn't like necessarily the worst thing, which they actually sort of come to that realization after they wake up all the way. They're sitting there like, well, this is, we're just both fucked up. I just lost my marriage fucked up. You're in a divorce. Like this, we were just, we were in pain and we were just trying to find some comfort. So as they come to that realization, knock on the door, and they're like, oh fuck, who the fuck could that be? But it's just a guy, it's a bellhop. And I guess they ordered some after sex room service last night or in the morning. And, I feel like it's just what they're doing here is just strange. They're gonna eat breakfast together. Lilith eats breakfast or eggs with ketchup, which I've always found disgusting as fuck. And even Niles does that also. So the bellboy leaves, I think, to get ketchup. And as they're sitting there talking, waiting for the bellboy to come back, knock again. But this time it's not the bellboy with ketchup. It's Frasier with a hard dick in his hand. And he says, Niles goes into the bathroom to hide. Lilith goes to the door. And Frasier's like, I'm here. I'm so sorry. Like, take me, and he's just he's waiting. He's got a Cialis in him. He's got a fucking rock hard one, and he's ready to just fucking plow. But Lilith obviously is a little hesitant. So as they're talking, the toilet flushes. And Frasier's like, what the fuck? And Lilith sort of is like, it's just broken. I'll be right back. Another thing that she did before Frasier came in is push the cart of food into the bathroom, and Niles is like, food in the bathroom? Like he's just like weirded out by that. So she goes in, and Niles has passed out because of his narcolepsy and flushed the toilet inadvertently. And she's like, you fucking idiot, your brother's outside. And now Niles is freaking the fuck out. And Frasier's just waiting, you know, he's percolating out there.
Nah, he didn't wait. He didn't wait for shit, because by the time she came out the bathroom, this motherfucker's already in his robe with nothing else. And like they're talking, and Frasier once again think he's about to get it in, and there's another noise from the bathroom, and Frasier runs in and he sees Niles passed out on the breakfast cart, and Frasier loses his shit. I mean,
it's one of the best reactions. Niles! Oh, he's just about to fucking jump out a window or something, which, you know, I could like, this could cause a lot of problems in a family. If you just like think about it, this is a really sort of something fucked. A line has been crossed here, Steve. In my opinion, at least.
Not unless you're from Fremont, Ohio.
Why do you say that?
Yeah, I know some things.
Well, I would love to hear about that off camera. But anyway, Frasier now knows what's going on. Niles has fucked his ex-wife before, and so he was about to get sloppy seconds. Yeah. And he rushes out. He just leaves. He leaves his clothes. He leaves his ex-wife. He leaves maybe some pre-cum on the carpet, you know, as he's running out. And Niles and Lilith are like, did we just shatter a family? Like, what are we gonna do here? And then knock again, or not even knock. Frasier comes in because he needs pants. Obviously, you can't just walk out with his hard dick in a robe, you know, and no car keys.
That part. And you should also mention the bellhop. When he first comes in, it's just Niles and Lilith, and then when he comes back, it's Niles, Lilith, and Frasier.
Well, actually, there's an in-between one too, because he comes back again with the ketchup, and it's Frasier and Lilith, and he's like, wait, what?
Frasier and Lilith, yeah.
And Frasier even orders some breakfast himself, the same dish his brother ordered. So apparently they have some weird fucking similarities sexually, or at least taste-wise. And you're right. Then the bellhop comes back again, and it's all three of them. And who knows what the fuck that guy thinks is going on.
Exactly. So once again, great writing. Great writing for Frasier, for the Frasier team. And everyone has their justifications for Lilith's Holland as to why everything went down. And she's just saying that they, like I said, codependent on each other. Niles says it's a battle of super egos trying to discover their id. He tried to go Freud with the shit. And Frasier's just kind of like, this is just bullshit. However you want to paint it, however you want to color it, it's bullshit.
Yeah, you guys were jealous. This is a manifestation of that. And you're just doing this to get some revenge on me because you're jealous of this hot ass I got. But there, you know, Lilith is like, here's my analysis. This is some bullshit. And, you know, three psychiatrists, just seeing like this in an argument in this capacity, it's just too many cooks in a fucking kitchen. You know, it's just fucking stupidity. And even these smart people you see are just like, as stupid as us. Like they get caught up in these normal everyday things. So they all sit down. They're sort of cooling off a little bit. Frasier's hard-on's gone. You know, everybody's just sitting there like stewing, and they're wondering where they go from here. And Niles actually gets a call from the Maris's lawyers. He stands up for himself and he realizes, oh, hey, like I'm over this narcolepsy thing. So clearly me getting this pussy actually worked. Like I feel validated. I'm better. Lilith sort of feels the same way. And Frasier's like, well, what? I got blue balls. Like, what am I going to do? But you know, he's pissed. Lilith reminds Frasier in this conversation. She's like, well, if you would have just fucking fucked me last night and not resisted, this would never have happened. So I think that sort of gets through too. He's like, oh yeah, because Frasier was like doing the most to not fuck her. So
there's that part.
Niles just stepped in to throw a little crane into her no matter what.
And Lilith, she gets over her self-esteem issues. Maybe this is Daria grown up, either Daria or Doug's sister. And I guess because Niles fucked her, she got over her self-esteem. She feels pretty again. You fucking hoe. Now, you know somebody who probably didn't watch Frasier this time around on 1998? March
No,
3rd?
Steve, who?
Probably. Somebody who probably didn't watch it was Jason Tatum. He was an American basketball player for the Boston Celtics. And fuck him because he plays for the Boston Celtics. The Mississippi of the North is what I call it. But he's a great basketball player. So, yeah, happy birthday to Jason Tatum. You need to leave that team and that city, though. Now, any callbacks, honorable mentions, or takeaways, my friend?
I mean, I said it, but hey, Paramount Plus, fuck you.
Yeah.
That's my call
Yeah,
back.
Paramount, yeah. Paramount can eat a plethora of dongers, indeed. Now, I skipped over it for a very good reason. On March 3rd, 1997, Pauly debuts on Fox. And I say that because it's Pauly Shore's sitcom on Fox. That's why I skipped it. But it's worth noting. It's some shit that I wouldn't watch. They probably should never stream it.
You don't leave the Jews, Steve?
Pauly Shore is not that funny to have a sitcom based around him, and it's Fox. So
I don't even
for something to be on.
This.
Yeah.
How long did it last? An episode?
Not even a full year, I don't believe.
I mean, who's the guy next to him? Like, what the fuck was going on? What was it about? We don't even.
It's Fox. It's Fox, bro. they had a sitcom, a primetime sitcom called Greg the fucking Bunny. It was a fucking like puppet. They had a fucking puppet in the 2000s, man. So it's Fox, bro. There's no. They gave Michael Strahan a fucking sitcom with Carl Weathers. I shit you not.
Really? I don't remember that one either.
The fucking, I get it. Michael Strahan has personality. He's got a gap. He's seems like a nice guy, but yeah.
I don't get why he's getting all the opportunity because the motherfucker hosts like Good Morning America. Like, why was he chosen? Is there
networking? Networking, man. It's about who you know. He worked or played for the Giants for decades. So a prime spot like that. I mean, and he was a Pro Bowler and he won a Super Bowl for that team. So
I mean, it's not to take anything away from the guy. He seems like a perfectly nice dude, but it's just like I always found that strange. Like of all the people like in the NFL, just like him, like you know.
Well, the reason he still has the gap, and I think he said this in his playing days, is because that's his trademark. So for somebody to think on that level, he was already kind of like focusing on his after playing days. You know what I mean?
Get that money, dude. Fuck it. I love somebody getting some fucking extra bread like that. I mean, I don't hate the guy. The guy was a beast. So get it.
America loves a big jovial black man.
They love a gap, you know. They love a nice gap in the teeth too. David Letterman, you know, it's a nice signature, especially for a guy in a football helmet. You do see the teeth every once in a while, and that's pretty signature. So there you go. I get it.
Got teeth in your mouth, so my dick's got to fit. That's another 90s reference. But make sure to also check out Over the Culture and Crushgasm with Kendra, B3F Podcast with Joey and Steven, Don't Worry, Be Movies with Amanda and Wade, and Pop Culture Hootenanny. This is Steve G and Matt G. Please like, share, and subscribe with Happened in the 90s. Ha.